A retirement secret nobody puts in the brochures. The richest cultural life in America per dollar is sitting in college towns, and you don't need a student ID to claim it. Lecture series that cost nothing, concerts for the price of a sandwich, stadium Saturdays that turn a whole town into family, hospitals that stay sharp because they teach, and main streets that never age because every fall 20,000 kids arrive to keep them young. Today, 20 college towns across America that are just about perfect for retirement. Every home value pulled live from Zillow this week, everyone checked for the hospital, and most priced between $140,000 and $350,000. Let's see what we got today. 20 towns ago, we promised the place where the college town might have been perfected. And here it is, the most expensive entry on this list by nearly $80,000 and worth every cent of the gap. Oxford, Mississippi, is built around a square, capital S, a courthouse ringed by balconied storefronts where Square Books, one of the great independent bookstores in America, spreads across 3 buildings, where double-decker buses imported from England actually run, and where the restaurant scene led by James Beard-winning chefs made this town of 28,000 a legitimate food destination. William Faulkner wrote his novels at Roanoke, his home in the Cedars a short walk from the square, preserved today with his outline for A Fable still penciled on the office wall, and the literary tradition never left. The town hosts book festivals and writers the way other towns host softball. Then there's fall. Ole Miss football Saturdays begin in the Grove, 10 acres of oaks that transform into what may be the most famous tailgate in America. Tens of thousands in their Sunday best under red and blue canopies, and whether you attend or just absorb the hum from your porch, the rhythm becomes your calendar. The University of Mississippi drives everything underneath. 24,000 students, a full art season at the Ford Center, and an Ole Lifelong Learning Institute with hundreds of courses built precisely for the retiree who never stop being curious. Add the details that make residents smug. Thacker Mountain Radio Hour tapes its books and music show live off the square most Thursdays, free. The Double-Decker Festival each spring fills the town with art booths under those English buses, and Sardis Lake's marinas sit 20 minutes north for the fishing mornings nobody associates with a literary capital. The practical spine is the strongest in the state. Baptist Memorial Hospital North Mississippi is a major regional medical center right in town, and Memphis Medicine runs 90 minutes north. Now the number, and the reason this climax inverts the whole countdown. Zillow has the typical Oxford home at $424,000, up 3% this year, triple the price of Pittsburgh and Cleveland one entry below it. And this is the honest Magnolia Brews in full. Game weekends double the town and triple the hotel rates. The square's restaurants priced for visitors, and summer is Mississippi summer. So why does it top a list that spent 19 entries celebrating value? Because every mechanism this countdown has featured lives here at maximum strength at once. The bookstore culture of a Silva, the stadium religion of a Stillwater, the food scene of a town 10 times this size, the hospital of a small city, the lifelong learning of a flagship, and the literary ghosts of the greatest novelist America produced, all wrapped around one square you can walk end to end in 10 minutes. 19 towns proved you can buy the college town life for $140,000. Oxford proves what the finished masterpiece looks like, and at $424,000, it's still half the price of a coastal town with a tenth of the soul. The square is lit tonight. It always is. Somewhere on a balcony above it, somebody's grandfather is explaining Faulkner to a freshman, and both of them ordered the shrimp and grits. That's the town. That's the whole idea, perfected. The cheapest college town on this countdown settled America's most important dinner debate decades ago, and the debate is fried chicken. On the north edge of Pittsburgh, Kansas, 2 chicken houses have faced each other down a country road since the mining days. Chicken Annie's, founded in 1934 when Annie Pickler started frying to support her family after a mine accident, and Chicken Mary's, opened by another mining widow a decade later. And the rivalry between them is so beloved it has been featured on national food shows. Locals split into camps at birth, and the correct answer is to alternate weekly. Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh State University's town, 7,000 students, and the only college mascot in America that is simply the Gorillas, a name adopted in 1920 and never surrendered, with Gorillas football running deep playoff seasons that pack Carney Smith Stadium. The town's bones are mining bones. Big Brutus, a 16-story electric coal shovel, stands in a field 20 minutes away as one of the great roadside monuments in the Midwest, and the old mining lands north of town have gone green, turned into public fishing lakes and wildlife areas by the hundreds of acres. Pitt State's Bicknell Family Center for the Arts, a grand performance hall by any city standard, books symphony and touring shows. The university's Veterans Memorial and Nature Reach add walking ground, and Crawford State Park's clear strip pit lake sits 20 minutes north for the kayak mornings. Ascension Via Christi operates the hospital right in Pittsburgh. Joplin's largest systems sit 30 minutes east, and Zillow has the typical home at $140,000, essentially level this year, the single lowest number on this entire countdown. The honest coal seam? Southeast Kansas is a long way from everywhere. Kansas City runs 2 hours, the town beyond campus and Chicken runs quiet, and summer brings both heat and the tornado watch rhythm of the plains. $140,000, a hospital in town, a university on the hill, and a chicken war with no losers. The value case rests. And if the chicken war ever ends in a truce, the town keeps backup traditions. Little Balkans Days, each Labor Day, celebrates the 26 nationalities the mines brought here a century ago, polka included, a festival name and a heritage no other Kansas town can claim. There are exactly 2 Grammy Museums on the planet. One is in Los Angeles, the other is in Cleveland, Mississippi, population 11,000. And that sentence is the whole thesis of this entry. The Grammy Museum, Mississippi opened here because this is where the music actually comes from. Dockery Farms, the plantation where Charlie Patton taught and Howling Wolf and Robert Johnson absorbed. The place B.B. King himself pointed to as where the blues began, sits 10 minutes east on Highway 8. And the museum honors that debt with 28,000 square feet of interactive exhibits, touring Grammy artifacts, and a concert calendar that brings real names to the Delta. The town wrapped around it is Delta State University's town, and Delta State is beloved across the college sports world for one perfect reason. Its unofficial mascot is the Fighting Okra, a scowling vegetable born as a student joke and now on t-shirts in 50 states, while the official statesmen keep baseball and basketball seasons running. Cotton Row downtown holds galleries, boutiques, and restaurants that outperform the zip code. The Cross Tie Arts and Jazz Festival fills the spring, and the flat Delta light at sunset explains half the songs. The Bologna Performing Arts Center on Delta State's campus books Broadway tours and country legends into a 1,000-seat hall, the kind of venue Delta towns 3 times this size never got. And the Martin and Sue King Railroad Museum plus airport hangar fly-ins keep the hobbyist calendar stocked. Bolivar Medical Center operates right in town, and Zillow has the typical home at $141,000, down close to 6% this year, the steepest discount on this countdown, a buyer's number in a town with a Grammy Museum. The honest 12-bar truth, the Delta economy runs thin, and the falling home values reflected. Summer heat is Mississippi wet, and Memphis, the nearest big city, is 2 hours north. What that $141,000 buys is a seat at the source of American music, Okra included. One more Delta note for the road. The Mississippi Blues trail markers thread the whole county. Po Monkey's juke joint site, Dockery's markers, Highway 61 itself 20 minutes west, so a Sunday drive here doubles as a music history seminar with Cottonfield for a lecture hall. In 1892, a frontier doctor named Andrew Taylor Still, disillusioned after losing 3 children to meningitis, opened the radical little medical school in Kirksville, Missouri. An entire branch of American medicine was born in that building. Osteopathic medicine started here, full stop, and today 1 in 4 American medical students trains in the tradition that began on this town square. ATSU University still operates in Kirksville, the founding campus, its students and clinics woven through the town, and that origin story gives this little place of 17,000 a medical texture no town its size should have. Northeast Regional Medical Center runs the hospital, ATSU's teaching clinics deepen the bench, and the Museum of Osteopathic History downtown holds the original school building, a log cabin of a landmark. The town's other engine is Truman State University, Missouri's designated public liberal arts university, 6,000 of the state's strongest students, and their calendar spills generously. Recitals, lectures, Bulldogs games, an observatory with public nights. Thousand Hills State Park sits 10 minutes west with a 3,000-acre lake, trails, and petroglyphs under a shelter. The local Amish community's farm stands dot the county roads, and the town square keeps a courthouse, a coffee house, and the Sue Ross Art Center in steady rotation. The two campuses split the calendar between them. Truman's Kohlenberg Lyceum series brings touring performers to a town of 17,000. ATSU's Global Health Lectures run open sessions, and the annual Red Barn Arts and Crafts Festival fills the square each fall. Small-town programming with graduate-level range. Zillow has the typical home at $158,000, up close to 2% this year. And at that number, the historic district's 4-bedroom Victorians start looking like typos. The honest prescription note: Kirksville is deep North Missouri, Columbia's 90 minutes, and Kansas City 3 hours. Winters run gray, and the town's rhythm is fully tied to 2 academic calendars. The place where hands-on medicine was invented, it turns out, is also one of the cheapest college towns in America. There's a symmetry in that. Emporia, Kansas holds 2 world titles at once, and neither of them is a joke. This prairie college town of 24,000 is the official disc golf capital of the world, headquarters of Dynamic Discs, and host of one of the sport's biggest tournaments. Thousands of players descending every spring on courses threaded through the parks. And it's also the beating heart of gravel cycling on Earth, because Unbound Gravel, the sport's most famous race, starts and finishes downtown every June. 4,000 riders from around the planet rolling out at dawn into the Flint Hills, while the whole town lines Commercial Street to send them off. Underneath the titles runs a classic campus town. Emporia State University keeps 4,000 students and Hornets games on the calendar. And the town carries a teacher's soul. The National Teachers Hall of Fame is here, fitting for the place whose newspaperman, William Allen White, once made small-town Kansas the conscience of the country. The Flint Hills themselves are the quiet spectacle, the last great stretch of tall grass prairie in America rolling green and gold outside town, and the annual Symphony in the Flint Hills sets an orchestra loose on the open range. Emporia's downtown earned a real second act too. Commercial Street's brick blocks fill with the dirty Kansas spirit year-round. Coffee roasters, bike shops, a restored Granada Theater running concerts under its 1920s marquee, and David Traylor Zoo, one of the smallest accredited zoos in the country, is free every single day. Newman Regional Health operates a full hospital right in town, and both Wichita and Topeka sit about an hour away. Zillow has the typical home at $178,000, up around 4% this year. The honest crosswind, Kansas wind, is a daily fact. The terrain outside the Flint Hills runs flat and the winters run gray cold, and a town of 24,000 keeps a short restaurant row. And the quick tee-off before the Final Four. Subscribing to this channel works like disc golf, completely free in every public park, oddly addictive, and your aim improves every single week. One tap and it flies. Now to the town where an entire branch of American medicine was born. The town of Ada, Oklahoma sits on top of one of the purest water sources in America, the Arbuckle-Simpson Aquifer, and the spring-fed swimming holes it feeds have been cooling this corner of the state since before statehood. Bird's Mill Spring still supplies the town's taps, and locals will tell you the water is the first thing visitors comment on, which is a strange and lovely thing for a town to be known for. Ada is East Central University's town. 4,000 students, Tigers basketball, and a compact campus 10 blocks from a downtown that has quietly refilled itself. The McSwain Theater, restored and running live music and classic films, anchors Main Street, and the town's Arts Council keeps murals spreading wall by wall. Here's the card that makes Ada punch far above 4,000 students. This is the capital of the Chickasaw Nation, and the nation's investment shows everywhere. The Chickasaw Cultural Center, 20 minutes south in Sulphur, is a world-class museum campus, and Chickasaw Medical Center, a modern hospital, serves alongside Mercy Hospital Ada, giving a town of 17,000 a 2-hospital bench that cities 5 times bigger would envy. Chickasaw National Recreation Area's waterfalls and swimming holes at Sulphur sit 25 minutes away. Oklahoma City runs 90 minutes northwest. Ada's downtown also keeps Winter Smith Park, a 1930s WPA-built park with a lake, stone bridges, and a small train the grandkids commandeer. And the nation's cultural calendar adds festivals, stomp dance demonstrations, and artist markets that give the small town a second civic heartbeat most places never get. Zillow has the typical home at $188,000, up 6.6% this year, the countdown officially entering its under 200 stretch. The honest gypsum dust. Ada is deeply rural. Tornado season is a real season with a siren schedule, and dining out means a short local menu plus the casino buffet. What it offers back is spring water in the pipes, 2 hospitals, and a price that leaves your equity mostly intact. The drive-worthy bonus sits 25 minutes south. Turner Falls, Oklahoma's tallest waterfall, pours 77 feet into a natural swimming pool in the Arbuckles, a summer ritual 3 generations deep, close enough that your grandkids will assume it's yours. Every December, somewhere on your television, Jimmy Stewart runs down a snowy Main Street shouting Merry Christmas at a building and loan. And every December, the real Main Street he grew up on celebrates accordingly. Indiana, Pennsylvania is Stewart's hometown, and the town leans in with its whole heart. A bronze statue of him outside the courthouse, the Jimmy Stewart Museum downstairs from the library running his films year-round, and an annual It's a Wonderful Life festival that turns the courthouse square into Bedford Falls with tree lighting, parades, and carolers, which means this town of 13,000 owns a piece of American Christmas outright. The other 11 months belong to Indiana University of Pennsylvania, 10,000 students keeping Philadelphia streets coffee shops and the Kovacic Center's concerts and Crimson Hawks games in business, plus the university's lively arts season running theater and music open to the town. The county around it rolls farmland and hollows. The Hoodlebug Trail runs a paved 10 miles for the morning walk. Yellow Creek State Park's lake sits 20 minutes east, and Pittsburgh waits just over an hour southwest. Airport, medicine, and grandkid visit logistics all solved in one direction. The town also grows Christmas for a living. Indiana County calls itself the Christmas tree capital of the world, one of the birthplaces of the commercial tree farm. Thousands of acres of firs in the hills, which means the Stewart connection sits on top of an economy that smells like pine every December. Indiana Regional Medical Center operates right in town, an independent hospital with an emergency department and cancer center. Zillow has the typical home at $207,000, up 7.3% this year, one of the strongest climbs on this countdown from one of its smallest price tags. The honest snow globe shake, this is Western Pennsylvania. Gray skies own November through March. The local economy outside the university runs modest, and the nearest interstate is a half hour of 2-lane away. December, this town has figured out completely. And the numbers behind the nostalgia hold up. Indiana County's cost of living runs well under the national average. The borough's walkable core puts the museum, the university, the hospital, and the courthouse square inside one comfortable loop. A full retirement footprint in about 15 blocks. Before there was a Texas, there was Nacogdoches. The town's founding date reads 1779, the oldest town in the state by its own well-defended claim. 9 flags have flown over it if you count the outlaw republics, and the brick streets downtown were laid by hand more than a century ago and still carry traffic. Stephen F. Austin State University grew up alongside all that history, 13,000 students among the pines, and it hands the town 2 gifts most campuses can't. The first is lumberjack athletics and a full arts calendar. The second is stranger and better. SFA runs one of the premier azalea gardens in America, the Ruby Mize Azalea Garden, 8 acres under the loblolly canopy. And every spring, the whole town joins in. The Azalea Trail turns residential streets into a bloom parade that draws bus tours from 3 states, gardening as civic identity. Deep East Texas piney woods roll in every direction. Lake Nacogdoches sits 15 minutes west for the Bass Mornings, and the downtown square keeps a farmer's market, galleries, and enough barbecue and kolache debate to sustain a retirement's worth of opinions. Millard's Crossing Historic Village preserves a street of rescued pioneer buildings on the north side. The Lanana Creek Trail runs a shaded creekside path through town past the oldest cemeteries in Texas. And SFA's planetarium and gardens keep the campus calendar generous to non-students. The practical page holds. Nacogdoches Medical Center and Memorial Hospital both operate in town, 2 facilities for a town of 33,000. And Houston's Medical Galaxy is 2.5 hours south when the big guns are needed. Zillow has a typical home at $224,000, up close to 3% this year. Historic District Victorians included in that math at prices coastal Texans refuse to believe. The honest pine pollen, and it's literal, spring coats every car in yellow. East Texas summers run thick and long, and the town is 45 minutes from an interstate, which keeps it quiet and keeps it slightly inconvenient in the same breath. 2.5 centuries in, the town seems fine with that trade. The peaches come in around June, and for 1 week, Ruston, Louisiana becomes the peach capital of the world as far as anyone within 100 miles is concerned, a festival running since 1951. Orchard stands on the highways, cobbler competitions taken deadly seriously, and a town square that smells like summer itself. The other 51 weeks, Ruston is Louisiana's quiet college jewel, home to Louisiana Tech and its 11,000 students, Bulldogs football at Joe Aylet Stadium, basketball in the Thomas Assembly Center, and a campus lecture and arts calendar that keeps the town's evenings stocked. The railroad-era downtown got a real second act. Brick storefronts now hold coffee roasters, boutiques, and the Dixie Center for the Arts, a restored 1920s theater running live shows. And the Rock Island Greenway Trail threads the town for morning walks. North Louisiana's piney hills roll around the edges. Lincoln Parish Park holds a mountain bike trail system with actual national reputation, plus a swimming lake. And the whole region runs on a cost of living that makes national averages look like typos. Tech's campus adds its own quiet treasures, an idea forge of a design school whose student projects dot the town, planetarium shows open to the public, and the Louisiana Military Museum downtown holds one of the region's better collections, while Squire Creek's golf course 20 minutes out handles the tea time crowd. Northern Louisiana Medical Center operates right in Ruston, and the larger hospital ecosystems of Shreveport and Monroe sit about 45 minutes in either direction on Interstate 20. Zillow has the typical home at $232,000, up about 1% this year. The honest peach pit, Louisiana summer is a sauna with scenery. Hurricanes' rainy leftovers wander this far north a few times a decade, and Ruston runs quiet and churchy. The Saturday roar and the Sunday hush live side by side. And a quick cobbler break before the top 8, subscribing to this channel works like the Peach Festival. Completely free, sweeter than it has any right to be, and it comes back reliably every single week. One tap, and you're in line. Next, the oldest town in Texas. Frank Baum was running a newspaper in Aberdeen, South Dakota when the prairie started teaching him things, and a decade later he wrote The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. The town never forgot the connection. Storybook Land Park on the north side runs a full Land of Oz section, yellow brick road included, free admission, and it's the kind of grandkid magnet that makes your house the summer favorite. Aberdeen is the hub city of the Dakotas, third largest town in the state at 28,000, with Northern State University keeping 4,000 students, Wolves basketball, and a public events calendar downtown. And Presentation College's legacy folding into the town's health and education economy. The retiree case here is Midwest practical with surprises. A walkable Main Street that hosts summer concert series, the Brown County Fair each August, one of the state's biggest, pheasant country in every direction each fall, hunters plan pilgrimages here. And Richmond Lake and Mina Lake within 20 minutes for the fishing itch. The Capitol Theater, a restored 1920s movie palace downtown, runs films and live shows under its original neon. Wiley Park wraps storybook land with a lake, campground, and bison pasture, and the Dakota Prairie Museum keeps the settlement story honest. 3 blocks of culture in a town the coasts couldn't find on a map. The financial ledger reads clean. South Dakota's no income tax math again, and Zillow has the typical home at $249,000, up 7% this year, the second hottest number on this countdown, the Dakota value getting discovered. The healthcare answer runs bigger than the town. Both Avera St. Luke's and Sanford Aberdeen operate hospitals here, 2 systems competing in a town of 28,000, which keeps quality honest and wait times short. The honest north wind, Aberdeen winter is the real Dakota article. January means below zero stretches and wind that edits your plans. The nearest big city is Sioux Falls at 3 hours, and flat is the only terrain on the menu. The trade is 2 hospitals, a yellow brick road, and a cost of living the coast stop believing exists. Every October, the town of Athens, Ohio hosts what locals claim is one of the biggest block parties in America, and the rest of the year it hosts something rarer, an Appalachian brick street college town that looks the way people remember college towns looking. Ohio University is the state's oldest campus, chartered in 1804, and its Georgian brick quads roll straight into a downtown of the same brick. Uptown Athens, where Court Street runs coffee houses, bookshops, and music venues on the student economy's friendly prices. The retiree mechanism here is the full college town package with an Appalachian accent. OU's performing arts series and Bobcats games fill the calendar. The university's lifelong learning programs open classrooms to gray hair on purpose. And the Hills answer on weekends. Hocking Hill State Park and its waterfall gorges sit 40 minutes north. Stroud's Run State Park's lake practically in town. And the Hocking Adena Bikeway runs 21 paved miles along the river to Nelsonville. The food scene outruns the town's size. This corner of Ohio grew a farm-to-table culture early. The Athens Farmers Market is one of the state's best, and Jackie O's Brewery anchors a beer scene with actual reputation. The Dairy Barn Arts Center, a converted 1914 dairy barn on a hill, hosts national quilt and craft exhibitions. Stewart's Opera House in nearby Nelsonville books roots music acts that sell out from 3 states. And the Wayne National Forest wraps the county in Ohio's only national forest, fire tower hikes included. On the practical page, Ohio Health Obliness Hospital operates right in Athens, and Columbus Medicine sits 90 minutes up the highway. Zillow has the typical home at $251,000, up 5% this year. The honest brick crack, that October block party is a real calendar event to plan around. 20,000 students set the town's volume most of the year, and Southeast Ohio's economy runs thin outside the campus. The county numbers are honest about that. What the money buys is the prettiest brick street in Appalachia, with a 2-century-old university keeping the lights warm. Most college towns orbit one campus. Conway runs on 3 at once, the University of Central Arkansas with its 11,000 students, Hendrix College, a nationally ranked liberal arts school whose leafy quad looks shipped in from New England, and Central Baptist College rounding the set. Which is why the town calls itself the City of Colleges, and why its cultural calendar punches triple. Reynolds Performance Hall at UCA books touring Broadway shows and symphony nights. Hendrix hosts lectures and recitals open to the town, and between them, a retiree here can fill more evenings than a season ticket holder in cities 5 times the size. The town grew up around the campuses without losing the seams, a downtown of local restaurants and the King's Live Music listening room, Toad Suck Days every spring, a festival named for a riverboat-era tavern legend and beloved precisely because of the name, and Lake Conway, one of the largest game and fish lakes ever built by a state agency, sits at the southern edge for the bass and crappie mornings. Little Rock's skyline, airport, and medical district wait just 30 minutes down Interstate 40, which turns the capital's resources into a suburb distance amenity, while Conway Regional Health System runs a full hospital with heart and surgical care right in town, no drive required for the everyday. Cadron Settlement Park adds river bluff trails and a reconstructed Pioneer Blockhouse on the Arkansas River 10 minutes west, and the Faulkner County Library's programming, plus 3 campus libraries mean this town reads. Book clubs here have waiting lists, which tells you something about your future neighbors. Zillow has a typical home at $252,000, up close to 2% this year, a number that buys 3 campuses, a lake, and a 30-minute city. The honest pop quiz answer: Conway is growing fast and the traffic on Daybor Drive shows it. Summer is full Arkansas humidity, and this is a church-going, early-closing town. The nightlife is a listening room and a porch, which for this channel's audience reads less like a catch and more like the syllabus. A mile above sea level, ringed by desert peaks, 3 hours from the nearest interstate-sized city, there's a college campus where the mascot is Lobo and the sunsets require no filter. Alpine, Texas is the seat of the Big Bend country, home to Sul Ross State University on its hillside overlooking town, and it runs on a combination this list can't repeat anywhere else: high desert mountain air, cowboy heritage that's still working heritage, and a national park the size of Rhode Island an hour south. The altitude does quiet magic on the climate. Summers run 10 degrees cooler than the Texas most people imagine, evenings drop into sweater range even in July, and winter is sunshine with the occasional dusting. The town square scene runs galleries and the Museum of the Big Ben on campus, Sol Ross keeps lectures and Lobo games on the calendar, and the annual Cowboy Poetry Gathering fills theaters with working ranchers reciting verse, an event you will not find in any other college town in America. Big Bend National Park delivers the Grand Kid card in permanent ink. 800,000 acres of canyons and dark sky stars, and the quirky art scene of Marfa sits 26 minutes west when you want a gallery afternoon that ends with a mystery lights viewing. Fort Davis and the McDonald Observatory hang 40 minutes north, where public star parties under some of the darkest skies in North America turn a Tuesday night into an event. And Alpine's own Coconut Field, a 1940s stone ballpark writers have called the best little ballpark in Texas, hosts summer baseball under the desert dusk. The practical file holds better than the remoteness suggests. Big Bend Regional Medical Center operates right in Alpine, the only hospital for 100 miles and staffed accordingly. And Zillow has the typical home at $258,000, flat over the past year. The honest tumbleweed, remote means remote. El Paso is 3.5 hours, Midlands Airport 2.5, specialist medicine means a road trip, and small-town debtor living asks for self-sufficiency the way the coasts ask for money. The stars, locals will tell you, are the refund. One practical note softens a distance. Alpine keeps an Amtrak stop. The Sunset Limited rolls through 3 times a week connecting to San Antonio and El Paso, which means this remotest entry on the countdown is also one of the few where the train still counts as a travel plan. Pennsylvania has boroughs, and it has cities, and it has townships by the hundred, but it has exactly one incorporated town, capital T, and it's this one. Bloomsburg wears that legal oddity like a lapel pin, and the town beneath the trivia earns the affection. A handsome main street of Victorian storefronts running toward a hilltop campus, Commonwealth University's Bloomsburg campus, whose 7,000 students keep the diners, the Moose Exchange Arts Hub, and the Bloomsburg Theater Ensemble, a professional company in a town of 14,000 and steady business. Every September, the town throws the Bloomsburg Fair, running since 1855, one of the largest fairs in the entire Northeast, a week when the population multiplies and the funnel cake economy peaks. But here's the card that moves this entry up the list, and it's the one retirees actually underline. Bloomsburg sits inside the home region of Geisinger, one of the most respected rural health systems in America, with Geisinger Bloomsburg Hospital right in town and the system's flagship medical center in Danville just 15 minutes down the river. Nationally ranked programs, a medical school, the works. Rural Pennsylvania with urban-grade medicine. The Susquehanna River frames a southern edge with a rail trail alongside. State game lands roll in every direction, and Zillow has the typical home at $268,000, up close to 6% this year. The county around it stacks small pleasures. Nobles, America's largest free admission amusement park, sits 20 minutes south and turns grandkid visits into legend. Covered bridges dot the back roads, and the Bloomsburg Children's Museum plus the town's own symphony orchestra round out a cultural bench a town of 14,000 has no business owning. The honest Fair Week traffic cone. The town floods once a generation when the Susquehanna rises. Flood insurance is a real conversation on the low streets, and winters are gray Pennsylvania winters. No way around it. And a quick word from the midway before the countdown continues. Subscribing to this channel is like the Bloomsburg Fair, a tradition that shows up reliably, costs less than the funnel cake, and somehow gets bigger every year. One tap does it. Now to the only college town on this list with a mountain range in the parking lot. Eskimo Joe started as a scrappy beer joint across from campus in 1975, and today its smiling logo may be the most recognized t-shirt in Oklahoma, which tells you what kind of college town Stillwater is, the kind where the campus hangout became the state's unofficial mascot. This is Oklahoma State University's town, 25,000 students, and on 6 or 7 autumn Saturdays, Boone Pickens Stadium swells with 60,000 orange-clad believers, a spectacle you can join for the price of a ticket or enjoy from a porch with the radio on. And the town's pulse runs orange all year. Bedlam basketball, spring baseball, graduation weekends that book every table in town. Beyond the stadium, Stillwater holds a surprising cultural card. It calls itself the home of red dirt music, the Oklahoma-grown Americana sound, and the tumbleweed dance hall and local stages keep that tradition loud, with the strip's restaurants and bars running on student economics, meaning your dinner out costs what a coastal appetizer does. Boone Pickens' billion-dollar generosity also left a town with facilities that outclass its size. Public wellness programs run through the university, and Lake McMurtry's trails and fishing sit 15 minutes northwest for the quiet mornings the stadium's Saturdays balance out. The practical spine holds. Stillwater Medical Center is a regional hospital right in town with heart and surgical programs, OSU's own medical presence deep in Sabetoch, and both Oklahoma City and Tulsa sit about an hour away in opposite directions, big city medicine and airports twice over. Zillow has the typical home at $272,000, up close to 5% this year. The honest red dirt report: game weekends own this town. Hotel prices triple and traffic crawls. Oklahoma weather swings from ice storm to heat dome with tornado season in between. And if you want quaint and quiet, 25,000 students is the opposite of that. If you want a town with a heartbeat you can set a calendar by, pull up a stool at Joe's. And for the record, the cheese fries at Joe's have their own merchandise line, which is either a warning about this town's priorities or the whole reason to move here, depending on your cardiologist. The New River is older than the mountains it cuts through, one of the most ancient rivers on Earth by most geological accounts, and it wraps around Radford, Virginia like the town was placed there on purpose. This is a compact college city in the New River Valley, home to Radford University and its 7,000 students, and the river is the amenity that keeps on giving. Bassett Park runs nearly 60 acres along the bank, with a paved riverside trail, herons at dawn, tubing and kayak launches in summer, and smallmouth bass for anyone with a rod and a free Tuesday. The university side delivers the college town dividends in full. Highlanders basketball, a performing arts center with a public season, lifelong learning courses at open classrooms to retirees, and a student energy that keeps coffee shops and trail races on the calendar. Radford also runs one of Virginia's more beloved small festivals. Glencoe Mansions Museum anchors the historic district, and the annual Highlanders Festival brings bagpipes and border collies to campus every fall, a nod to the Scots-Irish Valley heritage that the whole town turns out for. The location multiplies it. Blacksburg and Virginia Tech's big stadium Saturdays sit 15 minutes north when you want the full roar. The Blue Ridge Parkway and the Appalachian Trail hang above the valley for the leaf season drives, and Roanoke's airport runs 45 minutes east. Healthcare lands close. Carolion New River Valley Medical Center, the region's hospital, sits just across the river in Christiansburg, about 10 minutes, with Carolion's flagship in Roanoke behind it. Zillow has the typical home at $274,000, up 3.5% this year. Virginia and Mountain Valley living at a number coastal Virginia forgot exists. The honest river fog. Radford is small. The dining scene leans student budget, and when both universities empty out in summer, the valley goes properly quiet, which half of you just heard as a selling point. The river, for the record, doesn't take semesters off. One planning note sweetens the file further. Radford sits inside Virginia's New River Valley Retirement Corridor, meaning the senior services, transit vans, and clinic networks built for the region's growing gray population already run through town. Infrastructure most college towns spend a decade catching up on. Inside a converted Carnegie Library in a South Dakota town of 11,000 sits one of the great music collections on planet Earth. The National Music Museum in Vermilion holds 15,000 instruments across 5 centuries, Stradivari violins, rare Amati strings, Golden Age saxophones, court trumpets from 17th century Europe. A collection scholars fly across oceans to study, and it lives here, 2 blocks from a college main street, where parking is still free. That's the Vermilion trick, world-class oddity at small-town scale. And the University of South Dakota supplies a daily pulse, 10,000 students, Coyote basketball and football in the Dakota Dome, theater and lecture calendars open to anyone with an evening free. The town sits on a bluff above the Missouri River Valley. Lewis and Clark pass directly below, and Clay County spreads corn gold in every direction. Sunsets included at no extra charge. The university adds a second museum card most towns this size can't play, the W.H. Over Museum of Natural History. and USD's Farber Hall stages stage student theater cheap and constant, while the town's Ratingen Platz downtown, names for its German sister city, hosts summer concerts under the water tower. South Dakota sweetens the ledger the quiet way. No state income tax, one of the friendliest tax pictures in the country for a fixed income. Sanford Vermilion runs the hospital in town, modest but real, with the larger Sanford and Avera systems in Sioux Falls an hour up the interstate for the big procedures. Zillow has the typical home at $279,000, up 2.5% this year. The honest prairie wind. This is remote by any measure. Sioux Falls is the nearest city and it's an hour. Winters blow hard across open country, and a town of 11,000 runs quiet when the students leave in May. What stays year-round is a Stradivarius within walking distance, a river bluff view, and a tax return that got simpler. And one more Vermilion oddity worth a porch conversation. The town's Spirit Mound 10 minutes north is one of the few exactly documented spots where Lewis and Clark themselves stood, a lone prairie hill the expedition climbed in 1804, now a quiet trail with a view the explorers rode home about. Draw a triangle between the three prettiest waterfalls in the eastern United States: Cummins Falls, Burgess Falls, and Fall Creek Falls, and near the center of that triangle, you'll find a college town that somehow stays out of the retirement conversation. Cookeville sits on the Cumberland Plateau, halfway between Nashville and Knoxville, home to Tennessee Tech and its 10,000 students, and it quietly checks boxes that towns twice its size miss. Start with the math that Tennessee does for you. No state income tax, which on a fixed income is a raise you didn't have to ask for. Then the campus dividend. Tech's calendar runs engineering lectures, concert series, and Golden Eagle basketball, and the town's West Side district answers with galleries, live music, and a depot museum in the old rail station. First Friday nights that actually fill the sidewalks. Tennessee Tech's Bryan Fine Arts Building adds a symphony and choir season priced like a matinee, and Cookeville's History Museum plus the Cream City ice cream sign or restored neon landmark locals treat as the town's unofficial logo give the West Side District its postcard. The waterfall triangle is the weekend engine. Cummins Falls alone is a swimming hole at the base of a 75-foot cascade, 25 minutes from your porch, and Center Hill Lake's marinas sit within a half hour for the boatage. The town also sits on the Upper Cumberland's growing rail trail network, the Tennessee Central Heritage Trail rolling out paved miles for morning rides, and Cookeville's own Dogwood Park anchors summer with a performing arts pavilion and a splash pad that makes it the grandkid default. Now the sentence that makes this entry serious. Cookeville Regional Medical Center is a 269-bed hospital with heart and cancer centers, independent, right in town, the kind of medical anchor that usually requires a city of 200,000 parked in a town of 35,000. Zillow has a typical home at $326,000, up about 2% this year. The honest plateau wind. Interstate 40 growth is arriving fast. The edges of town are sprouting the same chain store strip every growing American town sprouts. And summer humidity is Tennessee humidity, no sugarcoating that. And a quick waterfall break before the countdown rolls on. Subscribing to this channel works like Cummins Falls, completely free to visit, refreshing every single time, and best enjoyed sitting down. One tap and you're in. Next, the little Dakota town keeping 500 years of music in one building. There's a courthouse in Silva that poses for more photographs than some national parks. A white columned 1914 beauty on a hill at the head of Main Street, 107 steps leading up to it. And the view back down the stairs frames the whole town against the Blue Ridge like a postcard that never needed editing. Silva's the kind of mountain Main Street people assume stopped existing. Bookshops, breweries, and old-school soda counter. And the reason it stays alive instead of stuffed is 5 minutes down the road in Cullowhee, where Western Carolina University keeps 12,000 students and a full calendar of concerts, theater, and Catamount games that the town treats as its own. The setting does heavy lifting. This is Jackson County, waterfalls per mile country. Pinnacle Park's Summit Trail starts practically in town. The Tuckasegee River runs trout through the valley, and the Great Smoky Mountains National Park entrance sits under an hour away, which means your visiting grandkids get elk, ridgelines, and fly rods without a hotel. The beer scene outgrew the town size years ago. Innovation Brewing pours on Main Street, and the county markets itself as an ale trail. No one objects. Silva also keeps one of the last great independent bookstores in the mountains, City Lights Bookstore, with a cafe attached. And the town's Concerts on the Creek series runs free Friday music all summer at the Park Pavilion, lawn chairs and coolers welcome, which is small-town programming done exactly right. On the practical page, Harris Regional Hospital operates right in Silva, emergency room and all, rare for a town of 2,700, and Zillow has the typical home at $334,000, flat over the past year, mountain pricing that has finally caught its breath after the Western Carolina surge. The honest switchback. This is tourist country. Summer and leaf season bring traffic that locals schedule around. The town is small enough that you'll know the coffee order of everyone ahead of you within a month, and Asheville's airport runs about an hour east. Some people hear those 3 sentences as warnings. The rest are already counting the courthouse steps. For scale on the medical file, Harris Regional runs under the Duke LifePoint umbrella with a sister hospital over the ridge in Franklin, and Asheville's Mission Hospital, the region's heavyweight, sits about an hour east for the major procedures, a mountain town with a 3-layer safety net. I personally love Michigan, but the students at Northern Michigan University have a view problem, and the problem is that Lake Superior sits at the end of their street. 3 quadrillion gallons of freshwater sea, so large it makes its own weather, and the town of Marquette is arranged along its shore like an audience that never leaves. This is the Upper Peninsula's capital of everything, the biggest town in a 300-mile wilderness, and the college keeps it humming. Hockey nights at the Barry Event Center, concerts and lectures open to the public, and 7,000 students keeping the coffee shops and the bike lanes busy. The town itself runs on outdoor religion. Presque Isle Park juts into the lake with cliffs and deer at the edge of downtown. The historic ore dock stands in the harbor like an iron cathedral, and residents measure seasons in trails, 400 miles of them for boots, bikes, and skis. The lake itself schedules the year. Surfers in wetsuits ride Superior's storm swells in November, an actual scene photographers travel for. The ore dock lights up for the holidays, and summer brings festival season to the harbor park. Art on the rocks, blues on the bay, a farmer's market that runs on pasties and thimbleberry jam. Downtown holds its own. Sandstone storefront, Black Rock's brewery's front porch scene, a food co-op, whitefish on every good menu. The practical file runs stronger than the latitude suggests. UP Health System Marquette is the regional medical center for the entire peninsula, a teaching-affiliated hub right in town. And Zillow has the typical home at $348,000, up 9.6% this year, the hottest number on this entire countdown, which tells you the secret is leaking. Now, the honest lake effect forecast, and it's a serious one. Superior manufactures snow. Marquette catches around 200 inches a year, winter runs 5 months and means it, and the nearest big city is a 3.5-hour drive in good weather. The residents will tell you the snow is the price of admission. What it buys is a freshwater sea, a college keeping the lights on, and the wildest beautiful town in the Midwest. One logistics note earns its sentence here. Sawyer International Airport 15 minutes south runs daily jet service to Chicago and Detroit, rare oxygen for a town this remote, which means the grandkids land closer than the snowfall totals suggest. But Michigan is just so beautiful. Don't miss this one. The only real pattern under all 20 of these towns, and it's almost unfair, a university is a machine that never stops paying its neighbors. Concerts and lectures priced for students, stadiums that turn autumn into a holiday season, hospitals that stay sharp because they teach, and the fresh wave of energy every single September. And the towns on this list let you plug into all of it for home prices between $140,000 and $350,000, with one glorious exception at the top. Now, the honest final exam. College towns run on academic calendars, loud in October, quiet in June. Decide which half of that trade excites you. Game weekends are a lifestyle event. Plan around them or join them. And every number you heard was pulled live this week and will drift by the month. So visit on a random Tuesday and again on a game Saturday. Rent a semester before you buy and verify everything with your own eyes. So, Tell me in the comments, which campus did you actually see from your porch? The Grove or the Gorillas? I read every answer. And if this list earned a spot on your syllabus, subscribe before you go. Next week's lecture is already scheduled. Class dismissed.